Okay, so welcome to a new English class. Today we're going to learn a new grammar topic. But before that, we're reviewing our vocabulary. Let's see if you remember and you can associate the images with the vocabulary. It's similar to start. When you're starting something, you can say that you begin something. And here there's a handcraft, but what are they doing with it? They're making it, right? They're making a new handcraft. This object, or this, is a fire. And the action these two women are doing is washing. They're washing clothes. This young man over here is obviously doing his chores, right? He's doing his chores. And this represents something that is very useful for us today, electric light. Then this young man is doing what you're doing. He is learning new things, right? And what is the grandfather doing with the children? He's telling stories. And this object, obviously very known from us, is a cell phone. Okay, so we're talking about contrasting times. So today, there are many things we can do, right? We can print in 3D, we can make video calls, we can have virtual lessons, we can buy things online, read books in a Kindle, or use tablets to learn. But how were these things done in the past? Read the ones we do today and think, what did people do in the past instead of what we do today? Well, I think that in the past, people couldn't print in 3D. They would model things on clay or Play Doh, right? Make video calls. Now, in the past, they would call with a home telephone, right? They didn't have cell phones. Virtual lessons? No, they had mixed level lessons in one class. So you could have people from first grade, second grade, third grade, and fourth grade in the same class, almost all elementary school in one class. So it was a mixed classroom. Now we buy things online, and in the past, people would buy things through a salesman, right? So salesmen would go around different areas of their country selling things, and people would buy them from them, right? People now read books in Kindle, but in the past, people would read printed books. Today, we use tablets to learn. Now, in the past, people didn't have tablets to learn. They used small blackboards to learn instead. So here's another example. This is a picture of my grandfather, and I want to compare my grandfather and me, and let's contrast how he did things and how do I do things now. My grandfather, Jose, had a life that was quite different from today. When a member of the family had a celebration, he would send a telegram. But today, we use WhatsApp. People wouldn't use t shirts on the street, they would dress formally instead. He would take a bus to come to the city, but now people can move with their cars. In his days, people would take him his watches and he would repair them. People nowadays buy another watch instead. Things have changed, but the love we have for our grandparents and the love that you have for your grandparents maintains. So things have changed, but the love. So this is a picture of my grandfather, and I want to compare my grandfather and contrast what he did with what I did, what I do now, right? So my grandfather and me. My grandfather Jose had a life that was quite different from today. When a member of the family had a celebration, he would send a telegram. But today we use WhatsApp. People wouldn't use t-shirts on the street. They would dress formally instead. He would take a bus to come to the city. But now people can move with their cars. In his days, people would take him his watches and he would repair them. People nowadays buy another watch instead. Things have changed, but the love we have for our grandparents hasn't. Did your grandfather do similar things? Okay, so as you can see, I'm telling you a little bit of about my grandfather and the things he did and what I do. So let's see the first sentence we have here in the content, in the body of this part. So when a member of a family had a celebration, he would send a telegram, comma. But today we use WhatsApp. So you can see there are different things, right? Using a telegram in contrast with using WhatsApp or sending a WhatsApp message, right? Second one, people wouldn't use t-shirts on the street. They would dress formally instead. So you see, from using t-shirts to dressing formally. And I'm insisting a little bit more on dressing formally. That's the idea I'm remarking when I'm speaking. Now here it says he would take a bus to come to the city, but now people can move with their cars. So you see that there's a contrast between these two. And finally, in his days, people would take him his watches and he would repair them. People nowadays buy another watch instead. So from repairing watches to buying another one, right? So if you see, there are some similarities. These two sentences are using but, and these two are using instead. All the sentences are making a contrast. But if you notice, here we have one idea in contrast with another one, but we use comma and but to show that contrast. While in this other two sentences, you can see I have one first sentence, and then in the second sentence, I emphasize on one of the things that I'm contrasting, remarking that that thing is being done instead or in place of the other one, right? So I'm emphasizing that. So that's why I'm using instead. So let's learn more about how to contrast when we're speaking. Using but and instead to contrast ideas. Use but to contrast two ideas. Place but after the first idea or the first clause and the comma, right? So people wash their clothes by hand, comma, but now we use a washing machine. So we have the first clause or the first idea, and then we have a comma to separate from the next or the following idea that we're going to contrast with. And but is helping us emphasize that contrast. Good. Use instead to contrast two ideas, emphasizing the last one. Place instead after the first idea in a different sentence and at the end of it. So people call Facebook a social media. In the past, people would visit each other to communicate instead. That was the social media, the social relation. So you can see that I'm emphasizing the second idea and I'm using instead. And it's in a second sentence. We're also using some time phrases, many years ago and long ago, to introduce, and you can use them to introduce your contrast. For example, long ago, people would cycle to get to places that were not that far away, but now people use motorcycles or cars, right? Many years ago, people would heat their food with a bonfire. Now people use an electric stove instead. Okay, so you can see that we're using the phrases long ago and many years ago at the beginning of the sentence in order to express that something was done in the past. Identify and correct the mistakes. So here it says, people met at parks to chat. Instead, now people call someone on the phone or go to their house. And we have people nowadays eat fast food. Then people would take time to prepare traditional food. But can you identify the mistake? Very easy, right? So let's see. We have people met at parks to chat, but now people call someone on the phone or go to their house, right? And people nowadays eat fast food. Then people would take time to prepare traditional food instead. So that's the correct order. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope to see you in class. Bye.